guys, welcome back to another video. Couple of things to go over today, and we're going to start here with this rumor that has been going around about a PlayStation 5 Slim that apparently has been showing up in their listings at an Australian retailer. So this comes here from Comic Games. It says PS5 Slim listed at one of Australia's largest retailers, and you can see the listing itself, what they're saying. The new look, slimmer PlayStation 5, incredibly vivid, vibrant colors with breathtaking HDR visuals and immersion, whether you're gaming or streaming movies and TV shows. Now, we don't know what this means because he goes into a little bit more information, and it seems like this may not be exactly what it seems, a slimmer version of the PlayStation 5. He says, The Good Guys is an Australian electronics retailer with over 100 stores and 3,500 employees. This new look slimmer PlayStation 5 is listed at the very top of their PlayStation landing page. Does not appear to be a third-party listing. And just from that alone, you could think maybe this was just a mistake. And he goes on here and says, apparently this has been there since 2021. Going through the archives, it looks like this was originally written for the PS4 Slim, and they just changed the 4 to a 5. And note the dates on this is the Wayback Machine. You can see on April 14th, 2019, it had the same thing as January 24th, 2021, where they updated it and obviously just maybe forgot to take the text out of the website itself. So, I mean, there you have it. To me, this just sounds like the person who updates the website just really wasn't paying attention, went in there to the header, changed the 4 to a 5, didn't read through the text and realize it said the slimmer PlayStation 5. I don't think this means that the PS5 Slim is coming or has been announced to these retailers and they're leaking it. Now, would a PS5 Slim be needed? Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the current PlayStation 5, it's this big gargantuan console. Just, it's not a very good looking console. It takes up a lot of space. And I have it under my desk and it just smashes my foot on it all the time because it's so damn big. But I would love to see a PS5 Slim. So I kind of hope this is true. But you think about what we've heard so far about the PlayStation 5. We've heard a couple of rumors. We heard that there is a new SKU coming up for the PS5, and they're going to be getting rid of the disc version. And this new SKU is going to be the digital version only, where they're going to be selling a disc drive on the side. We haven't seen any announcement for that, but maybe that will be coming at their event in the summer or whenever they do a showcase this year, or like one of their big showcases. And then the other thing we have heard about is the PS5 Pro, which again, that has a lot of people questioning why would PlayStation want to put out a PS5 Pro when the current PS5 is still very highly in demand. Now, a PS5 Slim would make more sense, I think, if they were going to be making a PS5 Pro. They maybe would, the new SKU for the regular PS5 would be the slimmer version of the console, and then the PS5 Pro would be the other SKU that they have out there, especially because you would assume that the PS5 Pro is going to be as big, maybe even bigger than the current PS5. Because if the current power of the PlayStation 5, if they couldn't fit that into a smaller box, smaller like the Xbox Series X, what makes you think they're going to be able to fit the PS5 Pro into something slim and small? I have my doubts, but I guess we'll wait and see if or when those consoles officially do get announced. I don't think that PS5 Slim is in the works. I think this was just like a person running the website who made an error, especially based off of the evidence here that has been pointed out by Okami Games. Now, jumping over here to some more hardware news, and this has to do with Xbox controllers. Now, there is this article circulating around that is completely wrong. They're saying here that Microsoft and Xbox filed this patent for a new Xbox controller, but that is not the case. There is a patent that was found for a new Xbox controller, but it is from Turtle Beach. You can see it pointed out here. This person here says it's a new Turtle Beach controller as well, not a first party. They may have filed the patent, but it's Turtle Beach Stealth Controller 1.0 update of the Recon. You even have Tom Warren pointing this out here, saying, since nobody bothered to check the patent filing, this has nothing to do with Microsoft. It's a Turtle Beach controller, and the patent was filed by Turtle Beach. So if you've seen this going around, this isn't a first-party controller, but it is still something pretty interesting to look at if you are looking at new types of controllers coming out for Xbox. This one here, which is looking like just a regular Xbox Series controller with a touch screen on it, that's going to give you access to many different things and be able to see many things as you're playing through the games. First of all, you're going to be able to choose your loadout. So I'm guessing that's kind of the loadout of the functionality of the buttons on the controller itself. There's a performance tab there, which may be able to show like the performance of how you're doing within a game, maybe link to the percentage of being close to finishing quests, or maybe the percentage of close to being finished achievements. There's a social media button there, which would be pretty cool, especially with a touchscreen on the controller. Let's say you click on that social media and then you can share screenshots and videos directly to Twitter or other social media out there and be able to actually type the message you want to send out with it. I think that would be very cool, especially because the actual share button is directly on the controller. And I find, even though that was a small addition to the Xbox Series controller, something I'm using all the time, actually happy that they added just that one small little button. Then there's audio and then there's home. But the big, I guess you could say, gimmick, unless it works really, really well for this pattern here, is going to be that touchscreen where you're probably just going to be able to swipe across the different style of things that you can do with this controller if it comes out. Now, patents are always filed. This may not actually come out, but this is from Turtle Peach, if you've been seeing this circulating around. And I think these features that they've added are definitely something that would be interesting to see how they work in real life and how they would be integrated into games. One of the things I would like to see Xbox do eventually going forward is maybe upgrade the haptics or add haptics to the current Xbox controller. But as of right now, the Series controller overall, a lot of people like to make that comparison to the Xbox Series controller to the PS5 DualSense, and how the PS5 DualSense is just so much better because it has all of these features. And I would definitely argue the Xbox controller in its current form is still the best controller. Ergonomically feels the best. The triggers themselves, the impulse triggers, I like significantly better than the actual adaptive triggers on the PS5 DualSense. I find those things extremely annoying. The one thing that I will say the PS5 DualSense has that definitely needs to be added into the Xbox controller at some point, again, is the haptic feedback. I think that is actually a very cool feature. We have that in the Nintendo Switch controllers and the Joy-Cons, and then in the DualSense, and it is missing from the Xbox Series controller, which I would love to see that added to the next iteration. But that is something I want to point out here in case you see this floating around. This is a Turtle Beach patent, not a first-party Xbox controller, but still seems pretty cool. And now let's jump over here to some big PlayStation 5 news. They had some historical numbers in February. The numbers are out for the US industry numbers from Circana Mapiscatella, previously of the MPD, where we get all the sales numbers, the revenues, and all that type of stuff. And overall, February 2023, year over year compared to 2022, was just a much bigger month. 2023 so far is a bigger year, and we're going to continue to see that. I think for obvious reasons, the game releases this year, it may make it the greatest year in gaming history, or at least up there. There are a couple of big years, but 2023 is seemingly going to fit into that category, especially from what we've seen so far. The majority of these third-party releases have been phenomenal. This isn't just hype, and these games not living up to the hype. They've actually been very good, and we're going to continue with more big games in April and in May. Now, in February of 2023, the big news here from PlayStation and PlayStation 5 is that they broke some records. They made some history for themselves, and it said they made history for itself by selling more than any previous PlayStation console had. Now, this is huge because you think about the PlayStation 2. You also think about right now what is going on with the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition stuff, where PlayStation is arguing that that deal will make the industry essentially anti-competitive, where Microsoft is going to be able to foreclose PlayStation if they do not have Call of Duty, which when you see numbers like this, you can really see that PlayStation is going to be absolutely, completely okay, even if the Activision Blizzard deal does go through. But I think their biggest worry is, especially when they're breaking sales records right now, is the effect that it's going to have. Because the strategy of Sony and of PlayStation hasn't evolved in a very long time. Their strategy is to push as many pieces of hardware into people's homes as possible. And they're sitting back and seeing the industry change, where eventually it's going to be cloud, eventually it's going to be all subscription, all of that type of stuff. And with the success of Xbox Game Pass and the success of Xbox Cloud Gaming, the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition is going to make it even more successful. And I feel like PlayStation sees themselves falling even more behind when it comes to that. And that's why I think it's imperative for them to try to block this deal. And they know if they do block this deal, they're going to continue to be as dominant as they are, especially with sales numbers like that. But either way, this is a huge month for PlayStation. And you got to give it to the PS5. It is doing extremely, extremely well. You're seeing the actual supply now be able to meet the demand. I mean, I saw a picture from my friend who sent me at the last week where in Costco, there was just a stack of PS5s ready to be bought. And I'm sure all of those are getting bought up, and they're able to actually replenish that stock in a reasonable time frame so more people can come in and buy it. And then we will jump over here to Hogwarts Legacy. Now, Hogwarts Legacy, incredible game. I still haven't beaten it. I am back playing through it. I'm about 20 hours or so into it, as it did fall down to my backlog because I went and beat Fire Emblem Engage, and I went and beat Atomic Heart, and now I'm back into Hogwarts Legacy, and it's just a phenomenal open world game with lots to do and great gameplay, great combat, all of that type of stuff. And we know what happened with this game. There was a huge boycott thing going on that just was absurd, what was going on with boycotting Hogwarts Legacy, and the people trying to boycott the game, obviously it backfired badly, as they did the exact opposite. Hogwarts Legacy sold incredibly, not just because people were trying to boycott it, but also because it was a very good game. And now it is already 2023's best selling game, which is a lot to be said because it's ahead of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And I know Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 released in 2022, but the sales of that game carry over into early 2023, and it usually does very, very well in the beginning of the year. And Hogwarts Legacy, a single player experience, has outsold Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It is the number one game, top selling game in 2023 in the United States. So pretty impressive stuff there. Again, it shows that, hey, if you want to set up a boycott, at least have good reasoning for the boycott, at least have substantial evidence as to why people should be boycotting this game, which none of that was ever available when it came to Hogwarts Legacy. And people saw right through that. And I think for a lot of people, it pushed them to want to go out and check out the game, even if maybe they weren't interested. Now their ears and everything about games was directed towards Hogwarts Legacy because the news and everything was talking about it, and it definitely has benefited, as it is the best-selling game so far in 2023. And another game that is selling extremely well that I'm playing through right now at the same time as Hogwarts Legacy is Resident Evil 4 Remake, as it has reached 3 million sold in just 2 days. Great feat for the game. It's well-deserved. One of the best, maybe for some people, the best Resident Evil game ever made. And Capcom has just nailed these remakes. If you're another developer out there and you want to know how to do remakes, you got to do it the way that Capcom does it, because they expand on the games. It really feels like a brand new experience. They make it much better to play than the old ones. So lots of great stuff here from Capcom, and we'll see maybe what the next remake of Resident Evil is. But it says here, Capcom shared on Wednesday that the Resident Evil 4 remake is already over 3 million copies sold in its first 2 days. This is the fastest sales of any Resident Evil game over the past several years, with Resident Evil Village reaching 3 million sold in 3 days, while the Resident Evil 2 remake took 4 days. And I'm honestly not that surprised, because I feel like Resident Evil 4 is in an era where a lot of people right now who are playing, it probably had a broader reached more people overall. It was kind of that shift from just survival horror to more survival horror action. And I think a lot of people enjoyed how they made that switch to being more action. It just has a broader reach. So I'm not surprised that Resident Evil 4 is doing so well. But I am going to leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff, from Hogwarts, Resident Evil selling extremely well, to the Xbox controller patent. Is that something you would like to see? And do you think a PS5 Slim is in the works? If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.